Approach briefings, IFR versus VFR, field elevation, type of approach, pattern altitude, nav frequency, type of landing, course brief for 400, gear down stabilize, glide slope intercept, final approach fix minimums, missed approach procedure, announce callouts on approach, gear down before landing checklists. Approach briefings, IFR versus VFR, field elevation, type of approach, pattern altitude, nav frequency, type of landing, course brief for 400 feet, gear down stabilize, glide slope intercept, final approach fix minimums, missed approach procedure, announce callouts on approach, gear down before landing checklists. Where visual before descending below TPA, instrument, half dot below glide slope intercept, non-precision final approach fix, actions, pilot flying, complete the gear down before landing checklist, calling out each step. After the first step, gear 3 green, wait for verbal verification from the pilot not flying, 3 green, 1 in the mirror. Actions, pilot not flying, monitor the pilot flying's performance of the checklist. After the pilot flying announces gear 3 green, verify that the landing gear is deployed, and then state 3 green, 1 in the mirror. Note, before landing checklist must be completed before descending below TPA final approach fix. Flap extension may be delayed when sync rates require, such as on high density altitude days or on single engine approaches. Never delay gear extension. Blue line, gump, gas, undercarriage, mixtures, props. Where visual on base or turning final, instrument 1000 feet AGL, actions, pilot flying, call out blue line gump, verify the aircraft is on speed, VYSE, check the items, calling out each one in turn, gas, undercarriage, mixtures, props, actions, pilot not flying, silently back up the pilot flying, monitor for any error. Gear down, stabilize, where all approaches 400 feet AGL, actions, pilot flying, confirm that the landing gear is down and that all stabilized approach criteria are met. Announce, gear down, stabilize, actions, pilot not flying. After the pilot flying's call out, confirm that the gear is down and that the approach is stabilized. Announce, gear down, stabilize. Climb at 85 knots, indicated airspeed blue line VY until 500 feet AGL. Reduce throttles to 25 inches of manifold pressure, 2500 RPM at 1000 feet AGL. Climb checklist out of 1000 feet AGL. Note, whenever runway distance allows, we will delay our liftoff to 85 knots, indicated airspeed blue line. This will ensure we have already reached our blue line speed in the event of an engine failure shortly after liftoff. Short field takeoff and climb. Flap 0 degrees. Hold brakes at departure end of runway. Increase throttles to 2200 RPM. Check engine gauge is 2, 4, 6, 8 in the green. Increase throttles to full power. Release brakes. Airspeed alive. Rotate at 70 knots, indicated airspeed, or as specified per the short field effort chart. POH section 5 for flap 0 degrees and actual weight. Climb at 71 knots, indicated airspeed through obstacle height, or as specified per short field effort chart, POH section 5, for flap 0 degrees and actual weight. Establish a positive rate of climb and retract the gear. Climb at 85 knots, blue line, indicated airspeed VY, when clear of obstacles until 1000 feet AGL. Reduce power to 24 inches manifold pressure, 2500 RPM at 1000 feet AGL. Climb checklist out of 1000 feet AGL. Note, flaps will not be used on takeoff in the BE-76, even in a short field operation. The additional lift provided by our flaps comes with the trade-off of significantly increased induced drag, specifically in its further extended settings. This induced drag increase could be detrimental to maintaining airspeed in an engine-out scenario and would be particularly dangerous at low altitudes. Note, if at any point in the approach after either pilot notices that the gear is not down or the approach is not stabilized, a go-around must be executed before landing checklist. Gear down, wait for 3 green. Fuel selectors on, flaps 10, mixtures full rich, props full forward, pumps on. Normal landing technique, verify that the gear is extended and the approach is stabilized. And announce at 400 feet AGL, gear down, stabilize. Maintain stabilized descent angle. Reduce throttle slowly over the approach and slow to 78 knots indicated airspeed. Touch down at approximately 73 knots indicated airspeed on the center line within the first third of the runway. Maintain back pressure on the control wheel to prevent slamming the nose wheel onto the runway. Flap setting. On normal landings, it is recommended to land with flaps 20 degrees. The approach speeds used for flaps 20 degrees are the same as flaps 35 degrees for normal landings. Flaps 20 degrees places the airplane in the best configuration for go-arounds and crosswind landings. Use pilot discretion for situations requiring a different setting, such as short field landing, single engine maneuvering, or high winds. Normal visual approach and landing. Complete the approach checklist before entering the traffic pattern. Devote full attention to the aircraft control in traffic avoidance. Slow to 100 knots indicated airspeed prior to entering the downwind for traffic pattern. Enter the traffic pattern at published traffic pattern altitude, typically 1,000 feet AGL. Announce when a beam approach in on the extended base or extended final when ready to descend out of the pattern altitude. Gear down before landing checklist. Extend flaps 25 degrees. Descend out of traffic pattern altitude at 88 knots indicated airspeed blue line. Announce on base leg or turning final blue line gump. Airspeed, gas, undercarriage, mixtures, props. Maintain 85 knots indicated airspeed blue line with flaps 20 degrees on base and final. Announce at 400 feet AGL. Gear down, stabilize. Slow to 76 knots indicated airspeed over runway threshold and touchdown on mains at desired landing point. Slow to normal taxi speed before departing runway. Short field visual approach and landing. Complete the approach checklist before entering the traffic pattern. Devote full attention to aircraft control and traffic avoidance. Slow to 100 knots indicated airspeed prior to entering the downwind or traffic pattern. Enter the traffic pattern at published traffic pattern altitude. Announce when a beam approach in on extended base or on extended final when ready to descend out of the traffic pattern altitude. Gear down before landing checklist short field. Extend flaps 20 degrees. Descend out of traffic pattern altitude at 85 knots indicated airspeed blue line. Announce on base leg or turning to final blue line gump. Airspeed, gas, undercarriage mixture props. On final, extend flaps 35 degrees, reduce airspeed on short final to approximately 71 knots, +5, -0. Maintain constant power, airspeed, and angle of descent. Announce at 400 feet AGL, gear down, stabilize. Close throttle slowly in the flare. Touch down with little or no floating. Maintain back pressure on the control wheel to prevent slamming the nose wheel onto the runway. Retract the flaps after touchdown. Simulate and announce max braking for training and check ride purposes. Go around. Missed approach. Both pilots must watch for unsatisfactory conditions throughout the approach. A go around procedure must be initiated anytime the conditions for a safe approach and landing are not met. Either pilot can command the go around or missed approach. Some examples of unsatisfactory approach and landing conditions are unstable approach path or airspeed, improper runway alignment, unexpected hazards on the runway or on final, any sounding of the gear warning horn below 1,000 feet AGL, anything that jeopardizes a safe approach and landing. Anytime the unsafe, or unsatisfactory conditions are encountered, a go-around must be immediately executed and another approach and landing should be made under more favorable conditions. Simultaneously increase throttles to full power and pitch for climb. Retract flaps solely to 0 degrees. Retract landing gear upon acquiring positive rate of climb. Climb at 85 knots indicated airspeed blue line VY until 500 feet AGL. Climb at 100 knots indicated airspeed after passing through 500 feet AGL provides better visibility and engine cooling, unless VX or VY is needed for obstacle clearance. Reduce power to 24 inches manifold pressure, 2,500 RPM at 1,000 feet AGL. Announce and perform either climb or cruise checklists out of 1,000 feet AGL. A professional pilot is smooth and coordinated.